windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money.
Well, that was U.S. President Donald Trump making his feelings about wind energy known during his recent appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. But Europe, it sees things differently. Ministers from European countries that border the North Sea have pledged sizable investments into expanding offshore wind energy. They did that at a summit in Hamburg, Germany today. The German government says the plan is to add an initial 100 gigawatts of energy to Europe's grid from offshore wind farms. It's a landmark step towards sustainable energy and also marks a pivot away from reliance on Russia. Well, joining me now is Olga Khakova. She's a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council Global Energy Center. Olga, it's good to have you with us this evening. So we've got an initial 100 gigawatts by the year 2030 and then much more planned for later. Some critics are saying that the target will not be met. What do you say?
Targets are important, but in the end of the day, the built out will depend on the private sector. We have seen struggles in countries like Germany and France with the auctions, finding buyers, finding private sector interest. However, the European governments can play an important role to unlock these barriers. One of them, of course, is investment certainty, and Europe prides itself on saying that we are safe, we're certain, we're predictable, but that's part of the equation. Another crucial component that the companies look for when investing is making sure that they can generate a significant income, that the market demand will be there, that the infrastructure can absorb these projects. They're also looking into the complexity of doing business. Right now, and this was mentioned in the Draghi report, even smaller businesses struggle with investing in Europe. Forget about larger companies. These bureaucratic barriers must be addressed first in order to actually get these targets into projects on the ground.
I want us to take a listen now to the energy commissioner who spoke today at that summit in Hamburg, Germany. Take a listen to that and then want to get your reaction.
The European Union has decided to stop our import of Russian energy. This is a historic decision. It means that we will no longer allow for Putin to blackmail us. We will no longer allow for Putin to weaponize energy against us.
So, Olga, there he said it. We will no longer allow Putin to weaponize energy against us. How far will this deal go towards European countries achieving that goal, independence from Russian energy?
Europe deserves a lot of credit for the amount of renewable energy and the partnerships on LNG with the United States and other countries that have contributed to its ability to reduce reliance and supplies of Russian energy sources, mostly gas, LNG, and pipe gas, which is now a legal matter, it will be illegal to import Russian gas by 2028. So in 2027, we're going to see the phase out. However, it's also important to mention that we are talking about apples to oranges when we compare, replacing natural gas with wind in some cases. Let me give you a couple of examples. Still a third of Europe relies on natural gas for heating solutions. And this is a very relevant conversation as we are in this winter, and a lot of countries, a lot of nations around the globe are actually experiencing significant storms that are halting flights and economic development. So making sure that we are also not hampering the industry that's heavily reliant in high heat and natural gas for production, that competitiveness is not being hurt. However, as we saw over the last 4 years, wind can play and will play a crucial role to help diversify away from Russian energy sources. It's just not going to be a single silver bullet. It can continue contributing to electrification, especially if it's paired with significant storage and other solutions that can address the intermittency issues that we're seeing with wind. However, if we take a look at the 20 BCM that Europe was able to reduce, I think taking that example into the future is a really good strategy.
Okay, let me pick up on that because, like here in Germany, we've seen this move to replace heating with natural gas with heat pumps, for example. Heat pumps, of course, rely on electricity. So maybe we can compare these two then. I mean, how much Russian energy exposure would North Sea wind be able to replace then?
So the capacity, just to get us started, capacity of the wind is about half of what natural gas is. That goes back to the intermittency questions. However, you're right. Once you address the electrification of services, once you take a service that was fueled directly by natural gas with solutions like heat pumps, which we have seen a record increase implementation across Europe, we can then replace it with electrical solutions and things like wind paired with battery and storage. Just to put a figure on it, roughly, if we were to meet, up to 100 gigawatts, we can safely say, 20 BCM of gas could be saved. But that's again assuming electrification of services, assuming that the infrastructure, we're talking about underwater cables that will need to be built out here, and that will require the coordination that what's happening at the summit. That's not something that one company or one country is going to build.
Okay, I've got 15 seconds. Let me ask you, how confident are you that we're going to be able to meet these targets? What was it, 100 gigawatts by the year 2030, maybe 300 gigawatts in the future? What do you think? Will we do it, yes or no?
I think it's possible, but the policies have to be right. We have to make it easy to do business in Europe. And we're not quite there yet, but it's absolutely possible. We've seen how fast Europe can move when it wants to.
Okay. Olga, as always, good to have you on the program. We appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.